This episode is powered and sponsored by Fort Way Media. Whether it's a special event, your wedding day, or maybe a small business looking to make an advertisement or commercial, Fort Way Media is the obvious choice. They turn everyday life into a cinematic experience. When you want to capture those special moments, look no further. Stop what you're doing. Check out fortwaymedia.com, book an appointment today, and don't miss out on another chance to get what you want in front of the big screen. Whether it is expert videography or photography, Fort Way Media can match exactly what you're looking for. Fort Way Media is known for helping out small businesses and everyone reach their dreams. Sign up today.
Scene 68.
Welcome to Take 303, powered by Fort Way Media, the podcast with the guy who knows a lot about film.
And his friend.
I'm Nick Molinari.
I'm JP Brooks. We're talking everything film and television, and today we are talking about Challengers. Let me just start off by saying, not having to say two movies in the same intro, my life has been so easy.
It just goes by so fast.
Yeah, it's really nice.
And it flows off the tongue. You know, we workshopped that for a while.
Yeah.
But first, in cinematic news.
Cinematic news!
So Dwayne Johnson is causing a lot of problems on set, apparently. Now, have you heard about the Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson?
I know. We've discussed this, yes. I'm aware.
Well, apparently he caused $250 million budget crisis in his new movie.
$250 million?
Yeah.
One guy? What did he do?
It says here that he was regularly showing up to set late, sometimes as much as 8 hours.
No.
But when you don't show up to set on such a movie, like Fast and the Furious or whatever it is, yeah, they're spending millions of dollars per day.
Yeah, of course, on people paying wages. Like most of the stuff, like you're paying for people's time, and so if they're just sitting around waiting for you to show up, as the hours tick by, tick tock, tick tock.
Now I have to rethink where I was with the whole Vin Diesel argument and really see like who was the problem on that set.
Diesel drinks Corona. He's a Corona man, so I automatically have to side with him. He's just right.
All right. There's a Scooby-Doo live-action Netflix series in development.
You can move on.
Dan Schneider, the man in the middle of the quiet on set situation, not only released the response video where he partially apologized for some of the things that he did.
I've seen that he did not apologize.
That's why I said partially.
He did not. It's not even
he
funny.
hired a man to say, you know, you did a lot of good things, but then also like, yeah, you know, and he was like, you know.
I was mean to people. I could have been nicer about it was like
Yeah.
I yelled sometimes.
It's like shoulda, coulda, woulda.
Yeah.
Anyways, he's also suing the Quiet on Set producers now for defamation of character.
Okay. Good luck with that one, Dan.
It's a bold move, Cotton.
It's a bold move. We'll see where he turns out.
Francis Ford Coppola,
Godfather director.
he's making it. He just made a new movie. It's coming out.
He didn't have to. Nobody was asking for it.
But he did. He did it for us.
He didn't. Nope. I don't know. He did it for himself. Anything else, Nick?
No, that's it.
That's it?
So let's jump into Challengers.
That's my least favorite cinematic news we've ever done.
Sorry, we're doing these episodes so close together. There's not a lot of
Yeah.
time for the news to break.
In preparation for, filming.
Short film plug.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about Challengers, starring Zendaya, Josh O'Connor, and Mike Feist.
Challengers is about 3 tennis players. And the movie follows their relationship as they meet when they're in high school and the love triangle that ensues between them all. As their paths cross out of each other and they leave each other's lives, eventually it all culminates into one tennis match 10 years later, when both men turn pros. And we watch as one tennis match decides it all, and that is Challengers.
This is a weird one because my number scale just went like teetering and tottering throughout the runtime. What about you?
At any point, this movie, 1 through 5, at all points, I thought this movie went, maybe not 5, but 1 through 4, it could be any one of them. We don't get these too often, where it's like I genuinely don't know how to feel about a movie, but when they do come, it always usually makes for a good episode.
Yep, this was your Band-Aid episode. We discussed this all week long because we were originally supposed to see Challengers. You were like, no, let's go to King Kong and Godzilla. And then I was like, all right, today we have the choice between Fall Guy and Challengers, but no matter what, we have to see Challengers this weekend. We've heard some talking, and allegedly
Allegedly.
At least one interviewer, movie critic, said that this was the best movie of 2024 so far.
I don't believe that is the case. I think Abigail is better than this movie.
I would say Dune.
Dune is probably better than this movie.
How do we feel about this story?
I actually think it's a well-written story. I really like the narrative. I think it's a very good tale. If I just look at it, I don't think about how they filmed it, how they showed the story. If I just look at the story, the writing, I actually really like it.
I would agree. I think it's one of the strong suits there. At the same time, there's a couple cheesy like lines and scenes, some predictability, some really good twists, really good callbacks. You know, I called it about a midway through the third act, I would say, where I was like, I feel like this is going to be our Anatomy of the Fall, you know? And then it almost became that.
Yeah, and I wasn't as upset because Anatomy of the Fall destroyed me with an ending. And so when you said, I'm like, yeah, I could see how they do that. That makes, once you said it out loud, I'm like, okay, that makes total sense.
I don't know what was up with our audience. They must have been like dead to the world because for the first 20 minutes, they were with us.
Yeah.
Like they were with you, me, and Eddie.
Yeah.
And for the rest of the movie, they were just on like, you know, must have taken a nap because we were reacting so like visceral.
Yeah, like I think the audience bought in. I never bought in. Well, I didn't buy in the beginning. And I think that's why like it really took me a long time to buy into this film. That's my biggest problem with it. I don't care about anything happening until I meet fucking Zweig. I like this guy. And he's a little bit of the anti-hero. He's almost the antagonist of this movie. I see him as an anti-hero protagonist. It's hard to say who's a protagonist. I think even just talking about now, I think that's it's the beauty and the frustrating part about this writing is I'm not sure who I'm rooting for. I don't like anybody in particular.
Yeah, I think protagonist is probably the wrong word for this kind of movie. I think it's just 3 lead roles.
It's just a story.
The reason why it works so well, story-wise, is that there are stakes, 100%. We've been missing them in a lot of movies. And then 2, there's, you know, the old question that we love on set, what's my motivation?
Yeah.
Everybody in this movie knows what their motivation is. These characters are written very well.
I'm going to probably get really mad at some point in this episode about this movie. But I actually hope this movie wins something for writing. They've earned it. The writers.
I could see like a Golden Globe. I'm not sure about an Oscar.
Yeah, because obviously Oscars are what matter. Golden Globes.
Yeah.
If you win that and you don't win an Oscar competition, like who are you?
Or at least a nom. But yeah, I think it felt very old school. Like it felt like an older type of movie, except for when it got really like artsy.
Yeah, it's an older script, an older style of storytelling, with like the modern edit. Like this movie felt very directed. I don't know if I've ever said that about a movie before, but I just felt the pretentious fuck of the director constantly just shoving his pretentious feelings like, you like that? Ooh, what about that shot? Yeah, you like that? Look at that close up.
Yeah, we don't even need a reason to figure out why the camera is below the ground, but it is.
The sound too, I do like the consistent beat. It was a bop.
It was a banger.
It's a banger.
Also, just the sound in general was super crisp.
Very crisp.
Like when those balls are hitting the rackets. Whew.
I didn't like Zendaya balls racket sounds because I could tell she was faking it. Mm-hmm. But that's just me being more acute to sound these days and like really watching film.
51%.
51%, they say. Still waiting for that 51% shirt.
What do you think I'm getting you for your wedding gift?
Oh, yeah. Kristen will take that the wrong way. 51% of the marriage. That's great.
I'll put a parentheses of the movie.
So that's why, like, I think this one's a really weird one because there are really good things to say about this movie, and there are some things I really don't like about it.
A lot of this movie is about who are you rooting for, because it is a game.
It is a game. It's back and forth. Very similar like tennis.
Yeah, and the movie tells you that it's going to shoot back and forth many a time, where it's like 2 weeks later and 2 hours before and 22 minutes, from last week. I didn't need all of that. The cross-cutting got a little annoying, and I would say like just the general subtitles of when things are taking place, most of them I understood when they were happening.
Yeah, I wish we would have had more of a part one is like the first set where Ziegler wins and Patrick wins, and so they show the early childhood where Patrick is dominating, like he's beating his friend out. In tennis, he's beating his friend out. In the girl department, we see that. Part 2, we see Art take the lead, and so that's why in set 2 he wins, which is like, it mirrors the story. I wish they would have kept it more consistent. Just show us all the backstory for that's important. So showing everything about Patrick winning, get me to the point right before Zendaya gets hurt. Then part 2 is everything's the day after, where Art takes over. And part 3 is we're not sure who's winning. It's getting close. And then show me everything I need for the end.
Well, see, that's the thing. I'm a little mixed on that because as much as I hate the cross-cutting, because it was just like edging us for 2 hours and 10 minutes. But at the same time, I feel like if they did just 3 sections, it would have felt boring in a sense.
Yeah, maybe. I think that's a fair argument. I just, at some point, please show me what the fuck is happening. I would just show literally, you could go tennis match, 2 minutes, another scene, 2 minutes of tennis match, 10 minutes of something, back to the tennis, 30 seconds. It was just really annoying.
I think maybe just because the cuts were so abrupt. Right. The power dynamics are so apparent, in your explanation. And what was interesting to me was that Zendaya kind of takes like a back seat behind the 2 guys.
Yes, she takes a back seat, but she is ultimately the one manipulating their relationship. She even says it, I didn't mean to be a homewrecker. It's not like Zendaya wants them to fight. She is the thing they are fighting over.
Yeah, and she has the mentality of it was always about the game. And in life, she's still playing a game.
Yeah, which I think is very interesting because depending on where you're at in the movie, I think determines who is your protagonist at that moment. So I think the protagonist changes as the movie goes. Like, we're not rooting against anyone, but we really like Patrick, I think. Then we feel for Zendaya. And I actually am not a fan of Art. Most of the movie, like, he's clinging on to Zendaya.
Until about the midway mark.
Yeah, even past that, I really like Art at the end, who, like, finally stands up for himself a little bit, isn't her puppet. And then you don't like Zendaya or Patrick at the end, kind of for what they're doing to Art, because now you feel for Art. But somehow I like how Patrick handles it. The only thing I really like him for is because I called what he was going to do, and I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So
yeah, I think, Zendaya, not discrediting her at all, she does a really good job. I just think like the trailer definitely positioned her to be like the main focus point of this movie, and it wasn't.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I'm more interested in each of the
guys,
Patrick and Art.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Art is Art doesn't become interesting until he like kind of gets over Zendaya, because anytime we're with Art, it's all about Zendaya.
Yeah, and she has her own thing too, because it's all about at the end of the game, at the end of the day, movies about like sports people, not necessarily like real life one, but fictionals. They're always about ego. Like you bring it back to Rocky, like they don't know when to stop.
The game of life, the game of love, and the game of tennis.
Well, let's talk about what annoyed you. I know for one is the slow motion.
Yeah, the slow motion a little too much. They really drag out some of these tennis scenes. It's probably doesn't need to be this long. That last match actually was too long for me, and that should be the highlight. I was actually kind of bored.
I just wanted to get there quicker. So I think everything else before that, even though it was so fast paced, it was just slow.
Yeah, this needs to be a nice 1 hour 50.
I don't quite buy how like the trio became a trio. That scene felt a little off to me.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because like they're teenagers, they're awkward and that kind of thing. But it seems a little forced. At least that scene for me.
Yeah, definitely that scene.
Also, I got a hot take for that scene.
Sure, hit me.
I feel like this is the whole Brokeback Mountain situation all over again.
Talk to me.
They were trying to be provocative and like, do something different. I'm over here looking at challengers and I keep seeing these trailers and they're like, it's provocative and it's crazy and it's like, you won't believe what you see. And I'm like,
they don't really show anything.
Yeah, I was expecting like a double stuffed Oreo kind of situation going on. And then I just got 2 gay guys who realized they might be a little bit straight.
Oh, man. Yeah. I like that you went very adult double stuffed Oreo situation. That's interesting. Well said, Nick. Yeah, I don't really buy into their friendship relationship until like push comes to shove. Then I really buy it and I'm kind of sold. And I think that's the problem I have with this movie is the first 30 to 40 minutes. I just don't give a shit. And I think Zendaya's miscast in this movie. I think she does a good job with what she's given. I do think she's a talented actress. I'm tired of seeing her personally, but that bias aside, she does a good job. It's just, I don't know if I buy like the age that she's supposed to be and the role she's been given.
I don't know how they did the aging thing, if it was a combination of makeup, computer, whatever it is, but they looked pretty good for like playing 13 years older and younger.
Mm-hmm.
If the movie was shown to you in reverse of chronological events, where it starts with the final match, not necessarily the final, I don't know tennis terms, but like showing you the start of the final game, right?
Yeah.
And then they play like one or two sets, and then it slowly goes back and shows you like, all the way to the beginning where when they were the most closest.
Yeah.
And then they cut back to the end. Would that have worked for you to like pull you in and have you identify with the characters more? You don't care enough for them in the beginning. So maybe if you saw like this guy with his wife and like they're having like this kind of like rocky marriage, and it's like, like
connected. I imagine it starts with, if you don't win, I'm leaving you.
Right.
What a like way to like. Now I have so many questions.
That's what I'm saying. And then they go back and they start giving you some of the breadcrumbs, and then they go back to like, or even they can mix it up after that. They can like, go back and forth. And honestly, you know what? Don't spoon feed us. Actually, just like show us like a mix of events without giving us like the 13 years ago, 2 months later,
right?
That kind of thing.
Which like then if you start with like, if you lose, I'm leaving you. That really changes the way we look through at all their relationships. And then to show that scene again, this time with the context of what happens between her and Patrick. Oh man, like what a payoff that would have been. Yeah, I maybe that is the way to fix it. Well done, Nicholas. Well done. Give yourself a little. Well done.
That's the writer in the room.
That's the writer in the room. I would agree with you. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Let's talk about directing.
Yeah.
Because it was very vivid. There was a lot of POVs of tennis rackets. We're getting camera angles from yeah.
Which, by the way, they make those sounds in tennis. It's a real thing.
They do. There's just way more erotic this time. And so I'm going to keep the camera on me while he's doing that, and I'm going to keep talking. So, yeah, they had a lot of phallic imagery. They're always eating bananas and churros.
Yeah. What's with... Yeah, so many phallic things. I didn't like the way they ate the churros together. I didn't like...
It was the most aggressive churro chewing of all time.
Yeah. Like, there is some really funny moments that I feel like, our audience kind of slept on. Like, there's some subtle, dry, like, good...
Yeah, like, it's meant to be funny.
Yeah.
Another thing that tripped me up was just how, like, the music was all over the place, and like it takes place in 2019 and then earlier on, like the techno was giving very 80s, and then they were playing a lot of Italian music. I joked to Eddie that they were playing like the theme song from the Peanuts while people were making out. It was really weird.
Yeah, I just wish they could have somehow established Zendaya and Art's character as likable as Patrick. Because Patrick really, like in the beginning, like, I'm just with this guy. I just instantly fall in love.
Well, I think it's because, one, their intros are vastly different.
Yeah.
And then two, we instinctively, I don't know if it's for everybody, but at least I think for you and me, we always root for the underdog. Definitely. And Patrick is immediately shown to be the underdog.
Who's giving the best performance for you?
That is the tennis match of this episode.
Yeah.
I know it's between the two guys. I'm probably gonna lean Patrick. I think he just had like, I don't know if it's more range, but he definitely had more to do in this movie than I think Art.
So I think if I'm looking at character, Patrick's character is vastly more interesting to me. I think he also plays, his smirk is fucking incredible. This guy's got a fucking wicked smile. Let me tell you that. I do think Art's character is a typical character who gets played in one note, but I feel like there's a lot of depth to him in his performance. He has to work for it. He's not like maybe as a natural like Patrick.
I would actually relate it to Warrior. You've seen that one?
Yeah, Boxers, Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. Is like the same idea where you're rooting for both of them in a sense, but you might root for one more depending on who you are. Both of these characters need the win.
Yeah.
So like who deserves,
and it's stated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like so many reasons to to not want to lose. Lots of things on the table between them, and tensions are high, and that's what we like.
I think the editing's bad. I think it actually really hurts the movie from being perfect or being really good. This is one of those movies where I was sitting there going, man, I really wish I could give a half star rating, because this is to me, sometimes this movie feels like the perfect 3 point. I'm not going to say it because
yeah. I think that's when we call this podcast, like we shut it down when one of us breaks and we're like, you know what, this is a 2 point.
I'm not going to say, but it feels in the 3 point range.
It's a good character study.
It is, and that's why I think this movie is excellently written. I was just annoyed at the edits. I really can't get over
that's the only part that took you out.
Yeah, basically. Was the editing.
Final thoughts and ratings?
Yeah, I'm going to let you go first because I want to hear what you have to say to maybe hopefully get me where I need to be.
This is the tennis match between us.
Yeah, this is the tennis match.
You don't want to go first?
I'll serve.
I'll serve.
Oh, no, I'll serve, dude.
No. I got you. Right. You went first last time.
Okay, sweet, good. I'm glad you kept track. That's nice.
I have a list. I have a Google sheet about this.
I'm sure you do.
Yeah. All right. So Challengers is a very challenging movie.
Wow, fucking went for it.
When I was watching it, I was a little annoyed. I think that's a lot of raw emotion, but then maybe that's what like watching sports is like. I don't know. I'm not a jock.
It is, yeah.
Any movie, and I bring it back to Anatomy of a Fall, you know, when it elicits those like strong emotions and you're like ready to yell at the screen, or you're making these little noises of like, and like, oh, why are you going to do that? And like, you know, when Eddie just yells ho, and spoiler alert, that's when you know that it's a good movie. I think overall it's a very strong movie. I think it's also a very weird one. It's very like in your face about its style and its directing choices. I think that kind of detracts from it. I think also the pacing is like a little bit off. I think it could be, you know, faster. I think if maybe the scenes were reordered a little bit, it would play better. I think also I've seen this type of movie before and I've seen it done better. So I'm going to give this Eddie's going to hate me, 4 out of 5.
Well, we're fucking stuck in the same boat, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Man, for all the things you said, I think it's a excellently written, great characters, everything I've already said before. I do think it's worth people's time. I think depending on who you are, you'll get a lot more out of it or not. I think this movie is trying so hard to be like really gripping and like captivating with like not a lot of music and holding really long scenes about nothing. So it doesn't really pull my attention. And I don't know how many points to dock for this movie. It's a weird one because the ending really, I think, makes up for the shittiness. I think also as moviegoers, maybe we're a little impatient. I know I'm an impatient guy. But you can still make a beginning where there's interesting things happening and you have lots of questions. So I don't think they do that enough. I think it could have been done better. I'm really stuck here. Part of me wants to give it a 4. Part of me wants to give it a 3. And I've been stuck between those two numbers. At some point it was a 2, so who knows? I feel like the only reason I don't want to give it a 4 is because I don't want to give it a 4. Which means Challengers is a 4 out of 5 for me. It hurts so much to say that. 2 out of 5 is a day. No. That being said, this has been another episode of Take 303. Thanks so much for watching. Regardless of how you feel about Challengers, I think it's an interesting movie. I think it's worth talking about. I think you should go see it. If you want to see what we're up to, please follow us at FortWay_media and at Take.303. You can see all the reels, the highlights, everything we do before they come out. This week's poll question of the week is, as you all know, if once you're in a Spider-Man movie and you're a woman and you get cast, your next movie has to be about tennis. So which of the Spider-Man women had better tennis movies? Was it Wimbledon, Battle of the Sexes, or Challengers? Which of these Spider-Woman tennis movies, which one of them are better? We'd love to hear your thoughts. And this week's question of the week is, what is a deuce in tennis? Do you know? When they yell deuce, is it something for the toilet? What does it mean? We will give away a free invisible napkin to anybody who gets it. Please give us your social security number and we will send you the invisible napkin. Catch us next time when we watch Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, the movie. Have a good one. Bye-bye.